Informative, educational, objective, inclusive, comprehensive. This is Progress Report. Updates and conversations from the Government Information Service.
Good day and welcome to another episode of Progress Report. My name is Ivan Khanna, my lovely co-host Gleneva Hodge, and we have with us back in studio, back for the very first time. I get to use it again. Back for the very first time, Dr. Ulu Fumike Banks Devonish. Did I say it correct?
You know you said it correctly.
Got it. We had a lovely 2-hour talk last time she was here. Touched on a number of things. Got a little bit elevated in the emotions a bit when we touched on some of what's happening in the community and the things that you see. We spoke into our little peephole there of promise and funny enough, the premier kind of alluded that we aren't finished in healthcare. He too wants to see facilities and this type of thing. So laugh at the little people of promise.
Things happen to that people.
Things happen.
Yes.
But we're in a good space.
Yeah.
Still have a lot of work to do, and we hope to unbox that today, Gleneva, right?
Yes, definitely.
Where do we want to start? Catch up?
We can do a catch up.
Yeah,
we
let's
can
do a
do
catch up.
catch up, not catch up. So yeah, we can start. What has been happening since you were last here?
When was I here?
It's almost a year now.
Wow.
It's almost a year.
That's
Yes.
been a long time. So within the last year, we've had some good developments, I would say, within the one-man unit. Still a one-human unit.
Hint.
But we've had some good development. We've done a lot of interagency working throughout the last year, especially, and we've had a lot more. I need to stop saying we when I mean I, but we've had a lot more requests from the community for more awareness initiatives. Myself, along with Mrs. Bradley, Community Services Planner, and Mrs. Murphy, the newly appointed Gender Affairs Coordinator. We've done quite a bit of work together, especially in the last year, for various community initiatives. I would say one of the biggest initiatives that we launched, which would have been in November, was an initiative around men's mental health. So I know the last time we were here, we were speaking a lot about men's mental health as well, and some of the little segments within the society that don't really receive the support are where mental health is still quite of a taboo topic.
Right.
And we highlighted men, and that has been a focus for us within the last year especially. So there's this global initiative called Movember.
Yes.
I heard about it first when I was studying in, I think it was Canada, and the men just didn't shave their mustache for the whole month, and I was like, this is interesting. But the fact that they did that, you asked questions because you were like, why are you out here just doing all of this, so
She said doing all
doing all of this,
that I
right?
do on a regular.
But the concept is that, men don't shave their mustache within November to raise awareness of men's health issues as well as men's mental health and suicide. As I think we discussed, but I'm not sure, so I'll reiterate. Men are more than 3 times more likely than women to complete suicide. So it's a problem particularly relevant within the male population, and the Movember movement strives to bring awareness to that, to raise money for research, to raise money for awareness campaigns, to raise money for various initiatives. And from that global initiative, we decided to kind of curtail it a bit for the Anguillian scene. So during the month of November, we encouraged people to not shave their mustache and to use the money that would have been given to the barber to donate to the unit so that we can continue to do more awareness initiatives. We also had this kind of thing, and Ivan, you were all a big part of it. We bothered you quite a bit during that time frame to get some resources. But we had this Men Wearing Emotions kind of initiative where we had some lapel pills.
I still have my pins.
You have yours?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
We had some lapel pins that we asked men within the community to wear. So I think it was, today I feel blah, today I feel happy, today I'm frustrated, and there was another one today, I'm not sure if it was sad or angry.
Not well, I think it was not well.
I'm not okay. That's what it
okay,
is,
not
yes.
okay.
Today I'm not okay. So we asked that men would wear those pins, choose whichever mood you were in the day, and the goal was to spark conversation. For people to ask the question, how are you? Because, you know, we walk through the society all the time. The first thing you walk through a door, you say, good morning, how you doing? Good morning, how are you? You don't really, you expect the person to say, I'm fine.
Yes.
Just like when we were in primary school writing letters.
Yeah.
Hello, dear whoever, how are you? I am fine. That was just the routine. And it's become so ingrained in us that we don't really stop to have the conversation.
I mean, I just want to put a pause there because I literally, like, if you want to get to my heart, you want me to feel good about you, ask me how my day was. Like, I know this whole love language thing, yes, I get it. But, like, ask me how my day was and be genuine about it because I go through so much in my day personally. Like, if you don't ask me how my day was, I kind of like, okay. I would answer you, I'll give you the respect you need. But if you ask me how my day was, you get the best of me. And, like, I remember, like, telling my daughter that. And my daughter, she would call me to find out how my day is going. Because, like, that's important to me. It actually lets me just get a little pause. And then, okay. But with respects to the wearing your emotions, that actually was cool. I actually wore my pins way after the event. And it sparked conversation, which we don't get into a lot as men. Conversation in general, men would quicker talk sports and women in politics than their feelings. And then emotions and family and I don't know if it's culturally something that we have to address, but those little conversations, when you get into this conversation, they reveal so much. There are a lot of men out there going through a whole lot. Like I started, you know, like on social media, I post from time to time, and I'm genuine about it. Like, especially for black men, like just speak up, like, because what I see happening is a lot of our younger men are adopting this suppression of their emotions, and then when they're acting out, we're not really going at the root cause, and that's causing a lot of them to dive even further down in the things that's really drowning them. I know my cousin, I can call his name because I'm the older cousin, my cousin Kiel, he often like, we talk every day, 2-3 times a day, and he often says he's concerned about the generation after us, especially young men, because he don't know how they're gonna manage their emotions. And it's something like I think we can get on being a small community with initiatives like this. I'm happy that some attention has been paid to the men since you were here. I remember the activities from Movember. I remember the reality versus mentality. I remember every other thing you guys tried to harass me about.
Literally.
No, I'm glad, Ivan, that you spoke about the reality versus mentality because if I'm not mistaken, you've had 2.
Yes, we've had 2 stagings of reality versus mentality. So the idea of reality versus mentality was that men need a space to talk. It's not going to happen at the bar. It's not going to happen on the park.
And
it's
a lot more women come to the barbershop now where you used to be able to talk. They come there to do their eyebrows. So I had a cuss every time I go there and I see a woman. They was like, no, this is my sanctuary. This is my space. Like,
But they're the guys at the hair salon.
Look at him.
No, I don't go to no hair salon.
Pardon?
I go to a lactation and I have my 2 hours and I out. When I go to the barber, I have a set appointment, but I'm there 2 hours before because it's an experience.
Right,
It is.
right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, just want to put that out there. Shout out Wilma one time. But it's an experience.
Your
and it's-
barber's favorite barber?
Yeah, your barber's favorite barber, Wilma's barbershop. But on a real though, like, it's been that way for as long as I know myself. Even when I lived in St. Thomas, me and Vince would just chat it up with reason. Like, men need that space where they can talk.
Yes.
We would talk about everything down to metaphysics. We would talk about with your barber. You want to figure out, ladies out there, if you want to know what to get your man for his body
Ask his
or what
barber.
bothering him, or watch it, go ask his barber. Ain't no bartender, the barber knows everything. Like, if I gonna trust a man to put a razor to my neck, I should trust him. Like, that's the way you look at it.
That's a lot of trust.
Fair, that's fair. That's
Okay,
fair.
good. So I
That's fair.
understand.
Yeah.
But don't go ask Wilma nothing about me.
Yeah, but it was really nice. So the first one, we had a lot of, I would say, older and younger. Not so much of the in between. I know you were there. You were there for both. Were you there for the second one?
No, I
You
didn't
missed
make
the
it to
second one.
Okay.
Ooh, shame.
Shame.
But the first one we had a lot of older and a lot of younger. And for the first one we had panelists. And the idea behind having panelists was that, this is a new kind of setting. We want to at least have people there to kind of break the ice. And
Break the conversation.
Yeah, if the conversation is going a bit dead, we want to have people there that will talk. And when we say have people there, we know we could not be there because
Yeah, they were not in the room.
we are women. We were
Were nowhere
banned from
around,
the
yeah.
space, intentionally and gladly banned from the space just to give that privacy. We couldn't hear what was happening. We had no idea if they were breaking down the music academy. We had no idea what was happening. But it was good to just be able to facilitate that space. And we received feedback. We took the feedback on board because, of course, as we said, we are not men. So it's about what was helpful for the men in the audience that night. For the second staging, we decided, a lot more men felt like they wanted to speak more themselves, which was a wonderful sign. And this time we saw a lot of 20s to 40s. A lot. And I think the numbers doubled, almost tripled from the first time. There were a lot of people this second time, and they spoke. We didn't have panelists. We had Mr. Conloyd Gums. We asked him to kind of host the event so he can help to drive the conversation a bit. And the feedback that we got from that one was phenomenal. It was amazing. They said they talked about everything from relationships to stress to emotions to everything that you would think you would want to talk about. And there was a lot of excitement for the next one, which is coming up actually in June. I would like to say the date, but I remember things looking at my phone. It's the Saturday in the teens. So it's, I believe it's the 17th. It could be the 19th.
The 19th is a Monday, so the 17th sounds about right.
17th, okay. See, teamwork makes the dream work. So that will be the 17th, confirming, of November. June. And we will have another one again on the 19th of November.
Okay, so we're looking at about 3.
Yes, trying to do at least 3 a year. Yeah, and we just want to encourage,
Yeah, Saturday is the 17th.
So Saturday the 17th, confirmed. Saturday the 17th of June.
You gonna use a bigger space this time?
I was going to ask, are there space limitations? Because it seems like our men are really gravitating towards having this type of space where they can express themselves freely.
Right. So we're open to that conversation. I think the space that we used, which is a music academy, it worked very well. I think it's a nice neutral space. Because you can go to the music academy and nobody really questions why you're at the music academy.
They won't know you're there when you pop.
Yeah.
And that too.
It's a nice, I think it's a really nice location. But we're open if the need arises to branch out to other spaces. We want to make sure that we keep it enclosed though.
And
on the open air, no live streaming, no,
right. I was
none
just
of that.
about. I was just about to say, it's an event that in order to experience it, you have to be there.
Literally.
Right. And clearly, if the feedback and what you saw in participation from the second one was greater than the first, it meant that the men who were present at the first felt comfortable enough to then go back into their own small spaces and speak about it. To have men be willing to come in and feel comfortable enough to share.
Yes.
I remember the discussions around that.
Sometimes
That's a woman.
It was not intended.
It wasn't intended for the woman.
And that's how they would have interrupted everything else, and that's why they weren't there. I guess.
And it is funny because I was literally going to go there, because coming out of those discussions, and it is known, a lot of times there's a lot of miscommunication, misunderstanding between men and women. And I heard persons saying, we need some integrated sessions.
Right.
We need some sessions, not necessarily where men are bearing their soul, or maybe they are bearing their souls, and women are doing the same, but in a space where you can have someone, it's almost to my mind, group counseling.
I was just about to say.
That is kind of what I had in my mind in terms of we're different, but we're not so different.
Right.
How can we talk? How can we? And I like having these discussions in here because I know coming from here we are able to produce, and we're gonna get into that later, into that little peephole, and we're gonna get into some of that later.
Right.
But some of the discussions that we just happen to have here, we're able to turn them into actual programs or actual something tangible that you can feel. So the idea of having a space where you can have real open and raw dialogue between men and women with the understanding of understanding each other. Or the goal of understanding each other. Is that something that you have considered?
Yes, actually, from those same sessions, that was some of the feedback that we got from the men, that they would like to have certain conversations with women. I know on a one-to-one session or one-to-one conversation, it can be a bit more contentious because it's now my opinion versus yours. But if it is, this is how a lot of people feel versus this is how a lot of us feel, then it kind of normalizes the emotions and says, okay, it kind of validates the feelings and encourages the conversation to actually be had in a calm kind of manner, if that makes sense.
This is always happen.
What always happens?
I can see Ivan's mind.
Right.
Yes, I can see the tick tack.
So outside of planning something like that, which is a great idea, I think we can develop a space. Well, not a space. So I'm like, this will be my problem, because
see, he gives himself work and then complains that
himself and others. Continue. And then complains when you bring back the work to him.
So I'm thinking, like, I love captured audiences, right? So it's one of the things that I've always focused on in my marketing, my PR activities, captured audiences. Captured audiences. That's why bumper stickers used to work in areas where you have high traffic. Because you're sitting there, you don't have nothing to do. Just read what's in front of you.
Yes.
Ponder what's in front of you. Billboards and things works on those streets that you travel on. So you said something a while ago that kind of like sparked a little idea in me. The emotions, concerns don't have a face, right? And nobody ever really pays attention to that. When I say they don't have a face, I could feel somewhere, somebody else could feel that way. What makes me feel some way might not be what makes them feel that way. So I'm thinking a safe space. Like we could have this a canvas that just has a silhouette of a man, right? It's some information gathering too, and the silhouette of a woman, and you just leave some markers there over a week or whatever. And persons, a man could write what he's feeling, and the woman could write her response, and then people can go to that and start to at least try to read the responses and kind of like, I'm you.
We're loving it.
Yeah, I think because that's a safe space. There's no face to it. Nobody can say when they're reading it, they don't say, but why I even feel so. He got everything going for you, whatever the case is. But get down to the raw, blank canvas that we are in terms of our emotional state. And let that start to drive the conversation. I think it'll be great information gathering. I think it will open up conversation in the home. I read this thing down the road. Man said this and the woman said that, because you need to put it in front of them. They ain't going out to buy the newspaper. Thinking everybody reading on Facebook, and Facebook is so transient that the information gets lost. But if it's in those captured audiences, they go into the barber shop, put it by the barber shop. They in the supermarket, put it in the supermarket, make it big enough so they let men know other men are going through what they're going through too, and how the women respond to it, or what women are going through. I think we need to start to find creative ways to change the narrative. So I'm gonna mind my business, because you said and
it
the last time
like
you said
now becomes your business.
Yeah,
no, the last time she said
it became your
it
business.
became my business. So I am going to and leave that alone.
That sounds like should be back.
Unfortunately, it's already taped, so
Yes.
it's already been it doesn't work like that anymore. So
It sounds like Dr. Banks' definition will be back again, not for the first time. When we're looking at
Here we go.
really rolling this
the
out,
safe
because
space.
right, and
I like that.
I'm really
you do
Yeah, I like that.
Ivan finds work for himself.
right.
Ivan
And
does it.
sometimes
Ivan thinks, and then he puts ideas out there. And like, who better? And you just commit me to things like he did last time. Ivan finds work for himself to do.
And sometimes he drags me along.
Yes, you best believe
This
it
is
will never happen.
This is something
Otherwise.
that this is definitely something that I would be on board with, in terms of getting that out there. It's going to require us to have a different, deeper conversation.
Yes.
I know we sometimes use progress report as a sounding board, and this is to also let our audience know we are always open
Yeah,
to ideas.
definitely.
I know Dr. Banks, Devonish, and even though you are a one-person team at your
With
department,
a lot of support.
you work very closely, like you said, with Mrs. Bradley, with Miss Murphy, and Ivan and myself, we're always here and willing
She did it again.
willing to assist in any sort of programming that you would like to put out there. We recognize the importance of mental health
Right.
within our communities, whether that is mental health for men,
Right.
but mental health for women, because those issues and our needs are sometimes different.
Yes.
And so creating the spaces, and then as we were discussing, sometimes it requires joint conversations.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I can see so much coming out of this, because no, for real. I
It's
mean,
like we come here and it's like, oh, new project.
yeah, just like that.
Right. while we're going to roll out one,
Yeah, we're still talking
we're starting about
one.
a new one.
But I just going back to it, I mean, it even for me, like, I'm concerned about how young men in particular are able to express, and not just express, but verbalize the things that they're going through.
Right.
A lot of people have fears and stuff, and can't be addressed. I mean, like, I had a situation, I can speak of myself, like, my son, I told you that he's 14 years old now. So what happens at 14, they just mortgage their ears for opinions. So he doesn't hear, he just have an opinion. So once you start talking, he has a response. And I mean, I grew up in the house of Etta, so that little quick thing on your mouth didn't work for me. So like the other day I had to say, but EJ, I sat on the kitchen floor. I crossed my legs and I'm like, but EJ, we don't do that here. Like, he's like, no. I'm like, I say, you gotta understand, EJ, your grandmother isn't in the home unit now, but I say, you ever hear me yell at your uncle? He was like, no. I said, because we don't do that here. I was like, even when we were playing as kids, it's plain, but you couldn't use the word "I hate you" in my mother's house. What? You can't tell your sister, so you can't know. So I was like, do you ever hear me and your aunt argue, or Auntie Prudence? I said, we don't do that here. And I'm
With your legs crossed.
I literally sat. He could tell you I sat in the kitchen on the floor. I was like, no, I was trying to figure out how it is
Channeling the
that
inner Buddha.
him and Erin could yell at. This is the same house that I grew up in, mind you. And I'm trying to figure out how he can be in the kitchen and yelling at Erin because she refused to help him do something, and she's yelling from the living room. And I'm like, but we don't do that here. Like, and then couple days after, like, I'll be honest, like, I'm moving and I'm going, and he's supposed to be braiding his hair, and the young lady is there waiting to braid his hair, and she told him, but your hair getting long. He's excited and he started dancing. I was like, hey, I'm like, stop. Like, we here for a purpose. And then sadly he jumped and he got a little annoyed, and after he told me, like, it does bother him if I yell, like if I jolt at him, like, yo, stop, like. But my mother had this little finger, so the finger that she would point, and I guess it did the same thing for him because it would straighten me up. But in retrospect, I'm thinking, like, how much of the conversation parents, siblings in general having about, like, the family unit has changed so much.
Yes.
And I think that is a part and parcel of a lot that we have to address. So hopefully it's not just about the man and the woman. It's about the family unit. Like, even let's expand this, like, the child, like,
Yes.
what you expect of the child. Like, let's have this conversation, because we don't do that here.
you know, it's funny just listening to you speak, Ivan. It kind of brought me back to, I think, just a few weeks ago. There was mocktails and mimosas event, which was an event geared towards mothers and adolescent daughters. And I had the honor and privilege to be able to speak at that event. And when I did, I sort of reverted. It was speaking about the relationship between mother and daughter, the challenges that you experience. And a lot of times we just go through our day, but that gave me reason to reflect on my own relationship with my mother. And it was, oh my goodness. I am so sorry, Mom. You know, because it's a lot of times we forget.
Yeah.
Yes.
We forget where we've come from. We forget that we were in their
We
position.
had a lot of those same emotions.
The emotions, and we now have to consider everything else that they have added in their environment and mix that in with the same emotions that we had and add in all those external factors that they now have. And
Which is
sometimes
a lot more.
a whole lot,
my God.
a whole
Different.
lot more. And it's
Yeah.
A lot different.
yeah, and it's how they deal with what they are all facing. They are dealing with so much as young people, and it is our role as parents, as older persons, Ivan, in the community.
You really can go there.
Oh, a friend of mine said to me just this week, do you know now if an 18-year-old comes and speak to you, you say, boy, I am twice your age. That hurt. That hurt.
I had a young person that was writing a script, and they said, you know, it's almost like we're back in the 90s.
Hit you hard.
The way that hit me,
Boss
and
chest.
back in the 90s, and mentioning Martin Luther King with the 90s,
Boss chest.
I was.
It hurts, but it's the reality.
It's the reality.
And so I think we have an opportunity, and Ivan, I don't know about you, but let me swing over here a little bit. Maybe Dr. Banks' definition, more in the age of that transition
Boy!
where we can say that we were on the precipice of technology becoming.
I hate to break it to you, man. You're right over the hill.
Oh, no, I definitely am. But I think growing
We
up,
got the same view.
growing up, I had the privilege of being able to run wild in the bush and to do all of those things and roast fish under a pomseret tree. That was my childhood. But I also remember running home after school to log on to MSN Messenger. So we were right there in the age, that transitional age where we got both technology and a normal, what was a normal childhood at that point without the influence of technology.
Our norm.
That's what was normal for us without the inclusion of all that
So
technology.
let me ask you a question, because I actually have had these kind of thoughts. Like, I'm not even joking with you. As recently as Monday, because I'm leaving home and they're launching this senior shield, and I'm like waiting for the traffic to come up, right, to pass, and I'm there thinking like, okay, we're doing something great for seniors, and then I'm like, okay, Ivan, I was like, man, 40 more years. Then I said, no, 30 more years, bro. You're 70. Like let's look at this right now. Let's calm down, pump the brakes, like. And then I started thinking, like, I am one of those persons that, like what you described just now, had that little brush of both walls, because I remember having an encyclopedia, the books in my house, but we had a computer desk and a computer table at the same time.
Yes.
And like you were right in between of there, so we had an awkward stage. I'm actually itching thinking about it.
I don't think that it's awkward. I think that we are best positioned to help those who are now coming up in this technological age, because we kind of know a little bit of the two. If I think about my parents, they didn't grow up with any of that technology, and so a lot of it is lost on them.
Yes.
That's a fact. Like,
But we have to also be honest with ourselves and ask how much of what we did interests this generation, because how much of what our parents did interested us. So we have to also be careful with, we don't want to impose our norms on the new norm, because you used to always say our parents felt like they know best.
Yeah.
But what was best for them might not be best for us. In the same way, we have to understand and acknowledge that what was best for us might not be best for them, and we can't truly understand their experience by looking through our lens.
I agree with everything that you're saying. I just know that I still here, so something my mother did worked.
But it's really a different time, because social media, the biggest influence, and in more ways than one. So it's an influence because now your life is public knowledge, and your life is a performance, because you are portraying what you want your life to look like for that public sphere, But then it's also the fact that social media encourages or influences the way that we think and act and behave, because everybody on social media is an expert on something. So you sit down and someone talks with conviction, and once someone speaks with conviction, you believe them.
Are we that gullible though?
We are.
Yes.
Literally that gullible.
Maybe I'm
and maybe
different.
not all of us.
Yeah.
But the more people speak, if you realize the language has shifted so much just because one person on social media started speaking about gaslighting. Did you ever hear of gaslighting before? No. One person started speaking about living in your feminine energy, and now it becomes the lingo because people speak with conviction.
Yeah.
And it's not that the terminology is wrong. It's just that it's what influences the way that society now thinks, because the more people say it, the more it starts to become the truth.
Yeah.
The accepted truth.
The accepted truth.
Yes.
I think this was yesterday, 9:18. I was going through statuses just before I fell asleep last night. And my good friend in Jamaica, shout out Ron Matheson, one of the wickedest baseman around town. Ron had on his status, He says the problem is this generation suffers from the this need crowd syndrome, where they think everything and every thought is content for public consumption and a court of public opinion so they can garner likes, shares, and go viral. And I screenshot his status because I was like, whoa. He's right. Like, I had a conversation. I can't talk about my children because them is my children. And I can't talk about nobody else's children. But I had a conversation with EJ. And he was like, Daddy, like, so sometimes I just go very random. I just put up a bunch of statuses on my phone. It could be, I just scroll, I just send it to my status. I will do that because I'm always doing research, by the way. And he said, Daddy, you gotta manage your content. He's like, you very random. I was like, I'm not random. I'm doing this for a reason. He's like, no. He's like, then I made a post on Facebook, and the first thing he said, how much likes you got? And I'm like, I really don't look for likes, son. Like, that. At one point, I used to be concerned about those metrics, but I look at social media right now even more as a tool than anything else. So when I put something out there, I write it a certain way, place it at a certain time because it's all work for me. I can't turn it off. So I know even though you don't like it, I'm going to strike it off because I will see the traction and I will see the response, which is what I want. But children don't care about that.
Because that's your relationship with
that's my relationship. I was getting to that.
So
Yes.
again,
Yes.
And that's exactly what I'm getting to.
their experience.
Good. So this is what I'm getting to. How can we start to have them understand that just like your relationship with your friends and your girlfriend, your boyfriend could go sour and could impact you for how about your relationship with your social space? Like, I don't know if we're having those conversations, but like Facebook started out as a tool for college students. It was a social space for them. Then they let everybody in and it's gone to bush. And then now you
Guess who's not on Facebook though?
Yeah, you.
No. Besides me. But guess who's not on Facebook?
You're not.
Our kids are not on Facebook.
No, they're not anymore. They're on TikTok. I was getting to
because
that.
Facebook, they say to you, that's the old people's app.
Yeah.
So they're not there.
And they're consuming the information in these same bursts that you talk about, and it's a lot of repetition. And I keep telling my kids, yo, you gotta watch how you're programming yourself. First of all, everything is flashing on you. Your sensories are out of whack. They're repeating the same thing over and over, and all of a sudden you can't shake these thoughts.
Right.
It's almost like affirmations over and over and over and over again. Watch what you consume. Like, just me doing this gonna have somebody already in a trance. Like, and this is not for real. I pay attention to these things. So I try to watch what I consume. Sad part is, based on what I do for a living, I have to have people consume things the same way.
Yes.
So I feel hypocritical because I'm paid to do it. But the struggle that I have is trying to get my kids to understand, like, if your father is doing this on this level, think about everybody else.
But we also have to, instead of getting them to understand, we also have to understand
And you don't
from
think
their
we do.
point of view. I don't really think that we do, because I feel like we are in the generation where we feel that our way is the way and has been the way,
Yes.
and any other way is not the way. So we are also imposing a lot of our own feelings on them, whereas they're living a similar life than we had, except ours was face to face.
Right.
So they were always the popular children. You would comb your hair a certain way to go to school. You wouldn't wear certain shoes to go to school because you wanted to be liked.
Yeah, you couldn't wear no
In the
smegs.
same, what?
Smegs.
Showing your age.
Because I don't know what
a smeg is.
Actually,
so I would
that's
not
a
have
VI
worn a
term. A
smeg.
smeg is a shoe that ain't a name brand.
Oh, okay.
I'm showing my age.
Everybody wanted a Jansport bag.
Everybody wanted a Jansport
You
bag.
wanted
No,
the
they want-
Reebok shoes.
Right, and now they want the what you call those bags? Now that they want
I have no idea.
spray ground,
Who?
spray ground bag, all those bags. So now Jansport
Right.
has replaced by spray ground.
So you see, for us, you were still on show. Your life was still on show. You didn't want your mother to put you in a certain outfit or comb your hair a certain way, put on certain shoes, bring certain food to school because you wanted to be perceived a certain way. So the experience is not that much different. It's just how it manifests because of the introduction of social media.
So how do we fix it?
we have the conversations, but we also have to be willing to listen.
How do we have the conversations?
So here's how we have the conversations. I actually was a part of a group of wonderful young people in this last week. This last weekend before last, I believe it was the 15th. That was weekend before last, right?
I don't
Yes.
know. What date it is.
2 weekends ago, there was a young lady. Her name is Takia Richardson. She's from North
Yes. They're
And-
the mental
Hill. Inside a Young Mind.
inside of young man.
You know, she called me back in November and she said, Miss Banks, I have an idea. This is what I want to do. And she was very sure of what she wanted to do. She wanted to create a space where young people could just express what happens inside a young mind. For the older generations to understand, and for young people to realize that they're not alone in their experiences. So she gathered a group of wonderful young people. There were songs, there were dances, there were dramatic presentations, poems, conversations,
Drawings,
paintings.
Yeah.
So many amazing things happened at that event. And she had a number of topics. So she had depression, she had friend betrayal, she had love, she had grief. Grief has no time limit. She had, what else did she have? Women empowerment. She had men have emotions too. Like a number of topics that she sat down and she thought would be important to share with people. And I feel like for her, that was the opening of the conversation. And there was some really good feedback from that night because people came and they actually were able to just sit and listen. I sat with the young people on the stage for the love debate. It was this generation's impact on love or perception of love. So I sat down and asked them a bunch of questions, and the responses blew my mind because, you know, it's certain things that we wouldn't necessarily think of, and it's certain things that we wouldn't necessarily relate to, and I don't think that we have to relate to them. I feel like we just need to understand and empathize. When we understand and empathize and we let the young people know that they're being seen and they're being heard, then they're more willing to have conversations on the not so positive behaviors that they will be taking part in or engaging in, because it's now like, yeah, you know, you might tell a young person, what you got to be sad about? You don't have any bills to pay. You ain't got, what you got to be depressed about? What you cutting yourself for? You don't, what, that don't make no sense. It might not make sense to you. It might not make sense to anybody else in their circle, but for them, it makes a lot of sense. For them, it is an expression of the emotions that they feel, because that's what self-harm is. Self-harm is inflicting physical pain basically to numb or mask the emotional pain. I don't want to feel these emotions, so I'm going to cut so I feel it here
And
not here, not here. You know, so it's just about sitting down, listening, empathizing, and realizing that because we didn't experience it doesn't mean that they're not experiencing it.
True.
And because social media has given them permission to be more open with their experiences, because in the past it would have been more like, you know, you just have to suck it up, you know, and that has led to a lot of toxicity. And even this generation that we're in, it's a lot of the reason why men don't speak. It's a lot of the reasons why people walk around with unhealed trauma, because you weren't given the safe space or the permission. And that's what's so amazing to me about this generation. This generation, I think, is transformative because they are giving permission to speak about how you actually feel.
True.
Again, I'm listening, and there's a lot that's, you know, going on up here. And I know for a lot of young persons, social media also allows them to find their community. It allows them to feel a part of something that you may not necessarily find within our 35 square miles.
I'm mad that you said that.
Why?
Because those are the terms that even WhatsApp is using now. So you don't have groups, you have communities.
Yeah, it's
like
it is the people who look and feel and think like you do. And what we might be seeing may be some of the negative aspects of it. Because, yes, there's no denying that there are people who look and feel and think differently than we do. Some of it might be extremist thought. but some of it is also positive. It's
Yeah.
about being able to,
Be
as parents,
accepted.
for us as parents of teenagers, I know sometimes it's difficult to guide without, there's that Bible verse that says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. And a lot of people think it says, train up a child in the way you want them to go. And that is two different things. And if we are constantly thinking that we should train them up in the way we want them to go,
You run into problems.
we run into problems. So it's about having that open dialogue. It's about being able to have those spaces. So the same way that young lady was able to create a space for that generational gap, to kind of bridge that divide. It's almost like what we were speaking about earlier in terms of bridging the divide between the sexes.
Right.
And so a lot of times we talk at each other, and we talk, but it's about creating the spaces, not just to talk, but to listen.
Yes.
Creating the spaces where we can allow empathy.
And listen to understand,
Yes.
not to respond.
Yes.
Which is a fundamental problem that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Here we go,
quickly.
Project number 2.
No, I had a thought, so this is how I'm stifling that thought. I'm literally squeezing the life out of that thought right now. Saying all this, I want to go back to something we talked about when you were here the first time, because if we're being honest, Gleneva, one of the things that we are yet to do, well, me at least, is to find a healthy way to unplug. And some of what you're talking about right now can be fixed if we just
Couple episodes back, I told you how I unplug.
refresh me for the audience.
I read a book.
She
I
read-
go to the
she-
public library.
Let me fix that. She read everything she could get her hands on. That's what she do. She do.
Yes, I
She
do
go
that,
to the
but
library, but-
my unplugging
Yes.
is reading a novel. It's my unplugging is not reading Exco-Minutes. I remember you laughed at me last time. It's not reading bills or whatever it is. It's not reading communication that comes out from Ivan and going, fix this. it's not doing that. It is literally reading for the sake of escaping. And so it's important to find what works
For you.
for you. There is something, and I know I keep alluding to it because I'm excited about it, but I know that I want to explore other means of being able to unplug as well. I'm excited about, I know what we're going to be speaking about, but I think for me, reading is a form of escapism. I had a conversation. I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and I hope for our listeners out there, you don't think we're weird. And this is just back to finding your community. It's something that I admire with young persons because they allow themselves to be vulnerable enough to express how they feel, which allows them to attract people who may have the same thoughts. And I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and we were speaking about reading, and she said to me, I don't say this to anybody, but I see myself as a character in the book. And I said, me too.
I was going to get to that because you told me, like,
that's
you
why I don't listen to
audiobooks,
audiobooks
yeah.
because
Right.
when I'm reading,
You want
I
to
want to
hear
hear the
it in your
different
voice.
inflection in everybody
Right.
else's voice.
Right.
I hear the characters speaking in their own unique voices. And I'm not sure if there's anyone listening to this who does the same thing, but that is why it's escapism for me. But there are other outlets that I would like to explore that I think would create more, I'm gonna just put this out there, more moments of mindfulness for me.
With the plug. With the plug.
Yes, but more, rather than just a small moment, more extended periods of
Right.
mindfulness.
Right. Intentional mindfulness.
Yes. And it's how do we do that? I thought maybe we'll pull up our blankets on the beach and we just go.
Like he did in the kitchen.
Yeah,
floor.
like-
Yes, that's exactly what I'm picturing.
Yeah, he listened though.
Yeah.
But
That's good.
I do that sometimes. I might pull up to a beach just to hear the waves crash.
Yes,
I love
yes.
that. I was recently in Grenada and I went to a
saw your
waterfall.
status.
Oh yes. And I went to a waterfall. I think I sent you a video and it was literally a minute long video just of the water
Waterfall.
falling. And I go, this is my minute of mindfulness because I love to hear water
Yes, yes.
moving, not running water out of a tap.
Can't afford to hear that.
I know, clarify that before my mother hears that. She's like, it's you're the leak. But no, for me, that calms me. And so, I agree, Ivan. I think we need to find the things individually. We need to find the things that allow us to unplug, just to reestablish our center, find ourselves. Like, the wall can be very heavy.
It can.
It can be very heavy. If you turn on your TV, you plug up and you log on and your homepage is news and you're
I
seeing
can't watch news anymore.
it's
Not since the COVID period. You get a glimpse of it and then you have to
shut off.
intentionally unplug because it becomes too much.
Yeah.
It does become a lot.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. I can't do it. Like I've taken serious stock of what I consume.
Yes. Yes.
And I know you laughed at me when I told you that in my role as PRO for government, I have to stay abreast as to what's happening on the ground, and that would involve listening to certain radio programs and stuff. I pay someone to do that. And send me a summary. It needs to be one page.
I hope you pay them well.
And the first time
So
the
did
young
a job
lady,
anymore.
so the first time the young lady catches like people just listen to this. She's like, but all they're saying is a bunch of prayers, and then they're saying the same thing.
Ivan.
And I was like, okay, good. And then the next week she was like, okay, it was more of this that they said last week. I enjoy reading notes, but they said this last week. Oh, they changed their mind this week, and I get a running order of how things are going because I watch what I consume.
Yes.
And I think where this all started was the last conversation when you said that you especially in your role, you know what you consume and you take these moments of mindfulness.
Moments of mindfulness.
And we went off with this. Yeah, let's get other people to experience these
Yes.
moments of mindfulness. And where are we today with moment of mindfulness?
We are ready to launch
Here we go.
moments of mindfulness
we
after
go.
the period of time, harassing Ivan harassing me, a lot of back and forth harassment
Yes.
about this very important project that was born right here. Right here the last time that I was here. Because, we were speaking about living in autopilot and needing to stop throughout the day and just taking a moment of mindfulness just to experience the here and now, just to experience the present moment, just to take in what's going on around you and how much of a big impact that has on just the trajectory of your day, even the trajectory of that moment,
Literally.
So we are here today ready to launch
Yeah.
moments of mindfulness.
So we're gonna let the folks hear one of these. I want to call them guided meditational. I don't know what you want to call them, but they'll
It's
hear.
basically guided meditation.
It's guided meditation. It's
Mindfulness
not
meditation.
Mindfulness meditation is not something to be afraid of. I'll tell you, we've worked on this project for a while.
I remember getting some clips back and forth.
and the feedback came from everywhere. And then I was like, okay. And then at one point, Dr. Banks Evans was like, my voice. I said, but it's not mixed. You're gonna get this. And then when I sent it off, so you must know the music and stuff in it. Everything, those things are original. They aren't any copyright music. Dr. Banks kind of like just voice for us, and then we had the music done, originally created for her moment of mindfulness, and
Thanks
then
to Ivan. Hard work.
and then we sent those back and we put the voice on, and then we had the engineer. Two different engineers work on it actually. We had the engineer now mix in her voice and stuff, and then I remember when he was he had responded to me. He was like, okay, like how much creative freedom I have with it. No, he said, because there are little things that she's saying, little pauses that I feel would work a little better. So she's making the pauses, but just how you're placing it in the music, you know, he took his time. And shout out Mario, scientist they call him. Believe it or not, he was actually the keyboardist for TOK. Everybody here know TOK.
Because we're
TOK
that
God
generation.
again. But he's an engineer, one of the guys I work with, and he does mastering and mixing. Really, really good with his mastering, because everything has come together. So we talking about both generations. So a lot of mastering and stuff now happens digitally,
Yes.
but he does both. And like he has this creative way of doing it. So like your vocals and stuff, he run through sorting compressors from way back when there's old ones, so you get that warmth in your voice and this type of thing. This is all the kind of thing he talking to me. So a lot of thought went into this project. But I remember, and this is what I was getting to, it was like, he just need a little longer space here, just so the music could fit and stuff. And he took time and he really like put it together. And then he was like, yo boy, Ivan, I know if you're supposed to like drift away on this, but he's like in the studio walking, and his wife sit down, and all he heard her says, and he looked back and she's gone, and then he said, it works. And he was like, the night after he started working on them, when he finished putting one of them together, he was like, he woke up feeling refreshed. You know, because he went to sleep after. It's not that he's supposed to put you to sleep, but it's to keep you unplugged.
Yes.
That's the most I can say about that project. You have several.
Yes. I think 11.
I think it's 11 or 13. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Wow.
She voiced them, and they're two separate different tracks. So which she was okay, this one fit for this one fit for that.
Nice.
Yeah, and you tell the folks how you plan to use them.
So we plan to distribute them to the radio stations, social media, like we spoke about earlier, and just to encourage people throughout the day to have these scheduled times where we know that now I'm going to take my mindfulness break. I'm going to have my moment of mindfulness now. And I think the experience of having these moments of mindfulness will be difficult at first because we're not used to stopping.
Yes.
We're used to going. So when you stop, because this is not a 30-second clip.
No.
This is not a take a deep breath in and out. This is a
that
time
full 7 thing. No, that's not that.
No. This is a time to actually take a break from your day, a scheduled break from your day, and just be in the moment. It's a time where the first few times you listen to one, you might feel like there's something else I should be doing right now. Your mind will wander, but that's what your mind is meant to do. Your mind is created. If your mind didn't think, it would be useless, right? So
is that the problem?
So it's expected that at those moments,
I've been trying to get her to give me that laugh. Okay, go ahead. I apologize.
it's expected that at those moments, your mind will drift. You'll think about other things that are going on in your life, and it's important to know that that's okay. Just gently guide your mind back to the script. Just give yourself permission to be in that moment. Give yourself permission to just take that time for you, because you deserve it. We all need it. It's a part of our well-being. It's a part of our self-care, and it's extremely important. You know?
So tell us, I know you said these are not 30-second clips. How long are the clips?
They vary.
5,
8, 11
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
It depends on what. I have a favorite, but we're gonna get into
What's your favorite?
the one when you talk
Mind
about
like
the
an
body
ocean?
of yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it. That's why, like, you are mine like an ocean person.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I look forward to hearing these.
Yeah.
I look forward to being able to take my moments of
Yes.
mindfulness. But I'm also excited because I feel this is like the first progress report baby.
Ooh.
Oh, you know you did it.
Yeah, it feels like, there's something, a thought, an idea that was
Yeah.
born in here, and we now have
Yes.
delivery of
Yes.
that. And so
Maybe we should play the Mind Like an Ocean one.
Mind Like an Ocean.
Yeah.
Alright,
Okay,
so we'll be sure to play Mind Like an Ocean.
Awesome.
We won't be here after you've listened to it. You'll be drifting away, but we'd like to let you know that they'll be distributed to the radio stations. They'll be on social
maybe
media.
even the YouTube channel. you
YouTube
said?
channel as well, government YouTube channel. So you're gonna have access to these all the time. Go and be intentional about taking your moment of mindfulness. If one is your favorite, like one is mine, you can use it 10, 15 times and don't tell nobody
Doesn't
about
matter.
it. It doesn't matter. And I'm not saying that that's what I do. I'm just saying that you can do it. Make use of it, and I'm sure we'll add some more to the collection.
Definitely.
All right. Anything
Dr.
else?
Banks.
We spoke about expanding it to the Hispanic.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. That's
So-
another thing. Yeah,
so-
we're waiting on Mrs. Bradley
Yes.
to come and voice those over.
Lovely.
Nobody's excluded. Everybody in a moment
Yes.
of mindfulness.
Yes.
Great.
Anything else from you?
No, just thank you for the opportunity once again to come and sit down and speak with you guys. I'm happy that this project has come to this stage where we are able to distribute it, and hopefully the community benefits from it. Hopefully that, we have that sense of enjoyment. Creating just a holistically healthier society, I think, is our overall aim.
Excellent. I agree. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another excellent episode of Progress Report. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for our radio partners, our producer, Carvel of Levrock Studio, the friendly folks at Dites, everybody that meets us publicly and keeps reminding us, like, yeah, I love it, I listen to it. I was told today we need to take the versions that's on the TV playing over and put up the new ones, because they hear the new ones and they still see those old ones. They cooping, but
So Ivan, before we go,
Uh-huh.
I have one thing to say. Because I spoke just now that
yes,
this
Go ahead.
is moment of mindfulness is our first baby, and this will air after, but I think it's important that we recognize what today is. Today represents 1 year
1 year.
since we initially launched Progress Report, and
Baby,
One.
Congratulations!
So yes, I want to
Wow.
before we sign off and take our moments of mind.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Our moments of mindfulness. I want to take a moment of gratitude
Yes,
to our listening and viewing audience
definitely.
for always being there, always willing to give feedback.
Yes,
We have, I mean, when I reflect on this year, we have grown so much in this year. I know personally for me, sitting in the seat, learning, not just learning from our guests, but in my own experience as your lovely co-host.
the star of the show, still telling me what to do.
But, and also I personally for me, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to be able to sit here and to be able to do this and to be able to do what I love, which is allowing the public to be educated about things that are happening.
Yes,
That we have a space where we can come up with these lovely and ideas that benefit the community. And so thank you to the persons behind the scenes that felt that Progress Report was something that was necessary, and for believing in me that I can effectively do this job. So thank you to our listening audience. Like you said, thank you to our radio, television partners. Thank you to all of our guests that we've had over the past
yeah,
year.
wow.
First time guests, repeat guests. Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna do something special. I'm just thinking we're gonna do something special because I know you like the Progress Report live. So yeah, we're gonna do something. Let's do something next week.
Okay.
All right. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. It's been our pleasure. 1 year in, and more to come.